Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mama Kay coming at you from my home studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, having some really great conversations with teacher friends, musician friends, and just all around great people. I can't wait for you to meet my next guest. They are not only a fantastic teacher, a fantastic human being, but I have learned so much from them about bees. I even got to wear a bee suit when I headed out to visit them. So without further ado, who are you, special guest?
I am Lori Barber, and I am a grade 8 teacher in Seven Oaks School Division, and I am also a former rock star bass player.
No way. That's incredible. How many years have you been teaching?
I have been teaching. This would be my 20th year. I started teaching in 2000.
And what have you all taught?
My first teaching job was teaching itinerant French at in Hamilton, Ontario, and I did that for 1 year.
What does that
Uh,
mean, itinerant?
It means that you have like this little AV cart, and you roll your little cart from class to class, and you teach French to the students in their classroom.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just, in case there's some people that are watching this that don't know what that word means.
Yeah, yeah.
So then what did you
Uh,
do?
and so then I moved back home to Winnipeg, and I started teaching in Seven Oaks School Division at Margaret Park. Taught there for a few years, taught at Leland North for a couple of years, taught at James Nesbitt for a couple of months after my mat leave, and then I've been at HC Avery ever since.
Wow. So at this point you said you're teaching
Grade 8.
grade 8. That's amazing. And now I'm curious, did you play an instrument in band? Because I know you play bass now, as you said, but do you have some sort of backstory about how you got started in music?
Oh my gosh, my backstory is like, so it goes way, way, way back to when I was a student at James Nesbitt. And I had the most amazing music teacher, Joanne Williams, who taught in Ottawa after she moved out there. But she was like my probably one of my biggest influences in music. She is the person who put a little 4-string ukulele in my hands, and then life just took off from there. Yeah, like I was about 7 or 8 years old, I think, and she was putting together this little Orff jazz band. So the jazz band was made up of ukuleles and a bunch of xylophones and glockenspiels, and like we would improv and solo and do all of this stuff. It was pretty phenomenal for elementary school. And so I would carry this little ukulele back and forth in a cardboard box under my arm every single day because I just couldn't get enough of it. And then eventually I switched to an acoustic guitar, and I fell in love with that. And then it just sort of progressed when I got into junior high as a student at the good old Ken Seaford Junior High. I started playing bass in the jazz band there. Also played in concert band in junior high and high school. So I started off in tenor saxophone, and then I also played a little bit of flute, sort of in my grade 12 year. But bass has sort of been my main instrument for, oh my God, since I was 12 years old.
So what did you do with bass beyond school?
So I sort of had this idea that after I graduated from high school, I wanted to play in a band, like a rock band. And through like, I don't know, through all of high school, grade 10, 11, 12, I sort of had a group of friends that we wrote songs with, and, went into the recording studio, and we sort of, we're dabbling in this whole area of songwriting and being rock stars. And the singer who was in that band and one of the co-songwriters, she had already graduated high school, and so she was kind of living the dream. She was touring and playing in clubs and all of that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And so no real plan as to how this was going to happen, but my grade 12 graduation came along, and lo and behold, from some of the connections that I had made, like going to watch bands in clubs, um, they sort of found out that I was this female bass player, and there was this singer in Toronto who was trying to put together a band of all women, and she had everybody. She was looking for a bass player, so somehow they got a hold of me, and fresh out of high school, 18 years old, I'm like, yo, mom, dad, I want to move to Toronto. And they're like, okay, sounds cool. So they drove me out there, and there I stayed for about 12 years, and played in a lot of cool clubs, and did a lot of, we were fairly well known in Toronto at the time, and toured, across North America, from Atlantic provinces all the way to BC and Los Angeles and all the way to New York City. So it was a pretty cool gig, that started with a ukulele, right?
What were you called?
So my bands, there were two of them. I have one sort of that I did a lot more touring with, and that was Stiletto. That was the band that I joined, when I moved to Toronto. And then after a few years and a bunch of recording, the singer for that band decided that she wanted to stay in California. She really liked it there when we traveled through, and she's like, yeah, this is where I got to be. So she went, and the band split up. And then about a year later, the band got back together, and we had a new singer that came and joined us. And she was a singer for a pretty well-known Canadian band called National Velvet. And so having her come on board,
No.
yeah, yeah. So having her
Ah!
come on board with us was like a pretty big deal, right? Because she had progressed a little bit further in her making it in the music business than we had at that point, and so it was kind of a big deal that she wanted to play with us, and so that band was called Hassenpfeffer, after the Bugs Bunny cartoon. Cook, cook,
Yeah.
where's my lunch? Where's my dinner? Where's my Hassenpfeffer?
So I must ask, are there videos on YouTube that people can search out?
Oh, heck yes. There's one for sure. Because like at the time when I moved to Toronto, like the whole reason why I think the band had gone so out of their way to find me, this bass player in Winnipeg, was because they had some interest from different A&R reps for Canadian record companies. So my whole gig was like supposed to be going out there to do this showcase for this A&R company. And in doing the whole thing, like we just found out like, wow, like this is really awesome playing together, and we wanted to keep doing it. And so we got some grant money from a Canadian arts organization called Video Fact. And yeah, so I made one video with them, and some beautiful person digitized it and posted it on YouTube. So yeah, it's on there. And if you want to find it, you will, when you're on the YouTube, you search for Stiletto One Night. If you just search Stiletto, you'll get all kinds of weird stuff that's not my band. But if you search Stiletto One Night, there it shall be.
Oh, that's exciting. I am definitely going to be watching that this afternoon.
I would just like to comment. I was 18 years old, okay? And music was different then. It was so much cooler.
But how beautiful to have that little piece of history right there.
Yeah. And a couple of years ago, we were contacted by a record company out of Nashville called FNA Records, and they like a former fan who had seen us when he was touring became an A&R for FNA Records. And so Stiletto actually released an album like 2 years ago that you can buy it online, and it's basically all of our old demo tapes remastered, and yeah, it's like a full-length album. It's pretty.
So if people search on their favorite music sites that way, they should be able to find it.
They might be able to. Like we're not on like iTunes or
Okay.
Spotify or anything like that. But if it's like literally the letter F, the letter N, the letter A. So if you search up FNA Records Stiletto, you'll find us there.
Fantastic. So now, do you do much playing anymore?
Not a whole lot. As you know, as a teacher, I'm pretty busy with that. But the one thing that I do is I have a collection of I don't know, 50 or so ukuleles in various states of repair. And I have like a class set of them in my classroom, and I teach ukulele during exploratory, and I always try to share with them, you know, the fact that, yeah, this is a ukulele, and it's, you know, it's a cute little instrument, fun to play, but you know, it literally altered the course of my life. And yeah, and I'm really grateful for that, for how that transpired in my life, and how it just changed the whole game for me. A ukulele, right? So yeah, I teach that still. And a couple of times a year, I have a group of other friends through Seven Oaks, and they're guitar players and singers and drummers, and so we get together, this little group of teachers, and we learn, you know, 3 or 4 songs and play a set, every so often. Yeah, so it's pretty fun.
So do you have any words of advice for students who are in middle school and in band, or maybe thinking about joining band? Sort of, what would your Lori Barber words of wisdom be?
Oh boy. My Lori Barber words of wisdom would be like, stick with it, right? Like, if you love music, you are never going to go wrong sticking with middle school band. Like, I went through the whole thing, right? Grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, playing in the concert band and playing in the school jazz band. And the you know, the level of experience that you get from that, and the musical knowledge that you're going to get from that, can take you so many places. Really, like, it's up to you what you want to do with that. But quitting, like, I know a lot of kids do that, right? They're excited for band when they first get there in grade 6, and then by grade 8, so many kids are dropping out because their friends are dropping out. Don't drop out, stick with it. You know, like, cool band trips that I went on, and experiences, and the bonding that you get with those people that you're with for all of that time. Stay with it. That's my Lori Barber advice.
Well, that's fantastic advice. Absolutely. And I feel so lucky to know such a rock star as yourself. And and thank you for taking the time out of your day today. I know it's a weird time for all of us, and just you being so willing to share your story, it means the world.
Aw, thanks. It's fun.
And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.